Contact your municipal clerk for details.
It's finally here, Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. An exclusive here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Early voting is open. This hour is presented by the WISN Early Turnout Project. The state's largest early vote drive is a part of that effort. We are trying our best to get every single one of our listeners, all of Dan Nation, voting as early as possible in the presidential election. We have been running Wisconsin's largest early vote drive for several years now to highlight the importance of getting out the conservative vote early to bank votes so that we're not playing catch up. We're not trying to catch a 21-point touchdown disadvantage in the fourth quarter. We want the 21-0 lead. We want to make it so that it's almost impossible for Democrats to make up our edge. Did you watch the first Monday Night Football game last night? Baltimore looks very, very good. They jumped out to a massive lead. Actually, technically, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers jumped out to a 10-0 lead, and then what happened? Baltimore scores 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, 2 touchdowns in the third, and ultimately just blow the Bucs out of the water. Now imagine if Baltimore decided, you know what, as Joe Buck kept reminding us during the broadcast last night, Derrick Henry, the big bruising running back for the Ravens, is a fourth quarterback. He is a fourth quarter weapon. He has a big edge in the fourth quarter. When defenders are tired, he just runs them over. Let's say the Baltimore Ravens, who have this huge advantage in the fourth quarter, they are so good in the fourth quarter because of Derrick Henry. They can score points at will. They just decided not to score any points in the second or third quarters. This, ladies and gentlemen, is about the end of the first, maybe the early second quarter of the voting game. Mail-in ballots went out more than a month ago, so voting has been underway. But this is the big prize. This is what I have been focusing on for all of those election cycles, dating all the way back to 2021 when we first debuted this and tried to get people to vote early. Here's how it works. Vote early. Duh. Take your spouse to vote early. If you've got kids still living at home, if they go to school at, say, an MATC or UWM or a school in the area, take them to early vote. Once you do, text me on the adventknows.com talk and text line 414-799-1130 or toll free 1-800-838-9476. Get creative with it. Send me a picture of your I voted sticker. Let me know. I have already gotten emails at dod@iheartmedia.com. We have got Patrick who says, I am an avid listener. I early voted. John voted 30 minutes ago in the Falls. Line was out the door and the front parking lot was full, so many had to park in the rear lot by the library. Voted Trump, Hovde, and Dewey Strobel because the opposing ladies stink. Thank you very much, John. Let's see. We also have Shane. Serb Hall. Long lines there. Hispanics with Trump hats waiting in line. God bless them. We have also got Kevin, 8:40 a.m. I speedily early voted in Watertown. Easy. Had to show ID and state my name and address. I signed my ballot when I was finished, as did the witness, who put it in a sealed envelope that had my name and address on it so they can delete my name on the list of residents in my ward so no one else can try to vote for me later. All workers were incredibly friendly and thanked me for voting. There were several others voting along with me, and I observed several voters departing and several coming. That comes from Kevin in Watertown. As I was reading that, I got an email from Michael. No lines, hardly anyone there in East Troy. voted there. I didn't even open our text in line because, frankly, I was concerned at all of the notifications I was going to get right away. Since I have started talking about this, literally 3 minutes ago, we have already got, by my nearest estimation, 55 texts. Ladies and gentlemen, we are off to a rip-roaring start. I want there to be such a flood of conservative Republican votes today that the left goes into panic mode, more so than they already are. And I have got a couple of stories that indicate that, including an exclusive one that shows you just how desperate Kamala is and just how much on the march President Trump's campaign is in the critical swing state of Pennsylvania, specifically Philadelphia. Somewhere it was once thought Republicans could never possibly compete. I have got objective, empirical, quantifiable evidence that the Trump campaign absolutely believes that they can significantly cut into Democrats' margins in Philadelphia. We've been getting this sort of information for the past several weeks now, but now I have got absolutely verifiable information that the Trump campaign knows that they are doing extremely well amongst Black and Hispanic voters. Brand new Fox News poll out today shows, you'll never believe this, folks, nationally, a 10-point lead for Trump amongst Latinos. If that poll is anywhere near accurate, if Kamala Harris only has a 10-point lead among Latinos, she is in deep, deep trouble. People always ask me, Dan, what can I do? What can I do? This is it. Dan, you talk about all this stuff. You talk about all sorts of Democrat corruption. You talk about all sorts of bad governance by Democrats. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you can do. Go today. Don't delay. Get out there as soon as possible. I am actually going to be going before I do anything else today. I am literally going to be walking out of the door of this building at 11:01 a.m. I am going to be going to my polling place, and I am going to be voting early. So here's what you do. You vote early. You get everybody in your immediate family to vote. You take mom and dad out to early vote. Make it a day. It's a beautiful day. Go out to lunch. Sit on a patio. Sip a cocktail. Reward yourself for doing your civic duty as quickly as possible and making it far easier for Republicans to run up the score like the Baltimore Ravens and win a game in a laugher. Because I have got, ladies and gentlemen, an exclusive story that I guarantee will anger and disturb you. I have got proof that non-citizens in Wisconsin absolutely can use their driver's licenses to vote without any ability for any election observer or any poll watcher to check. You are definitely going to want to listen to the show. Now, at the risk of cannibalizing my own listeners, for the 10 o'clock segment, you are probably going to get the full extent of the story. To get the full impact of it, you're probably going to need to watch the Dano Cam, because I have got evidence that driver's licenses that are being issued to non-citizens are not including the required language that identifies those driver's licenses as belonging to non-citizens. In other words, non-citizens can very easily vote in Wisconsin's elections. That exclusive story coming up at 10:06. This, however, doesn't matter. If enough of you get out and vote now, if enough of you bank your votes, and enough of you do exactly what I tell you to do after the voting, that is, text every single one of your conservative-leaning friends, especially those who don't ordinarily vote. Invite them to lunch. Don't just say, hey, have you early voted? Go out with them. Make them get to the polls. Say, hey, I will buy you lunch. Hey, I will buy you a 9-hole round of golf. Come out with me and vote. No, libs who are listening right now, this is not election bribery. This is, hey, let's make a day of it. Go vote. Let's grab a drink after. Let's grab lunch. Let's catch up. You can be the most influential person in your social circle. And I bet you've got a bunch of social circles. You've got buddies you golf with. You've got maybe a text chain of old high school or college friends. You've got the fantasy football league. Ladies, you've got the book club. You've got other moms from the school board and PTA, right? You've got the Girl Scouts moms. You've got the soccer team moms and dads. If you know people are Republican, if you know they are conservative, but you know they might be waiting until the day of the election to vote, don't leave it to chance. Don't guess that Derrick Henry is going to score 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Don't hope that Lamar Jackson is going to be able to throw 3 touchdowns because we're so far down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kamala Harris is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. She shows signs of life, but ultimately kind of incompetent. That sort of describes the Tampa Bay franchise. Yes, I know they've won a couple of Super Bowls, but for decades and decades and decades, they were a laughingstock. The metaphor is apt, in other words. You can also reach me at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, where I will be reposting your tweets, or I guess X posts that they call them now. I will be, when you tell me that you've early voted, we'll try our best to share your posts on Facebook, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Make sure you are getting out there. Now that we've got that out of the way, now that you have been forced to listen to my argument for early voting, because, folks, frankly, I can't stand early voting. I want to go back to Election Day voting only, and the only time you are ever allowed to vote early is if you present a legitimate excuse for why you are not going to be at your polling place on Election Day. That's the only reason I want in-person or mail-in absentee balloting. It's very easy to commit fraud. Don't just believe me. Bipartisan commission from 2005, co-chaired by liberal icon Jimmy Carter, who appeared to be completely comatose in his 100th birthday picture, but somehow, like Lazarus, rose from the dead to cast an absentee ballot for Kamala Harris in Georgia on the first day of their early voting. I want us only to be voting on Election Day. And as a result, I follow the recommendations of that bipartisan commission co-chaired by Jimmy Carter. Mail-in voting this was a direct conclusion. It's co-chaired by Jim Baker. They had a Republican in Baker and a Democrat in Carter co-chair this commission, 2005. One of their findings, mail-in balloting is the single easiest way to defraud an election. It's the single easiest way to cheat. I don't want mail-in balloting anywhere, ever in this country. In order to get that, we need to get Democrats to beg us to allow them to end mail-in balloting. And the only way you do that is by kicking their rear ends at mail-in balloting. The only way you stop in-person absentee balloting is to kick their rear ends at it, to make them think, holy cow, if we continue to allow people to vote early, Republicans are going to continue to win election after election after election after election after election. Moreover, when we get this many votes banked, when we have as big of a lead as humanly possible, it is impossible for them to steal an election. There is a finite number of ballots that can be reasonably manufactured or in some way fraudulently delivered and cast. I call that the fraud margin. My estimation and the estimation of most politicians and political consultants and people in the know that I've talked to, it's about 1% of the total vote. Just assume Democrats are going to be able to manufacture. If you are out of the fraud margin, your candidate will win. The polls all suggest, the fundamentals of this race all suggest that Donald Trump can win this race in a rout. He is either leading the popular vote or within a point. That translates to probably 300 electoral votes, but States like Wisconsin, and now the election is coming down almost solely to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris has to win all three or she loses. She is basically giving up on the Sun Belt states. North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, I believe her campaign thinks are already lost. She needs to pull the inside straight of winning the Rust Belt and can't lose a single state. Folks, together, let's make her lose Wisconsin. Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Now that you've been forced to listen to all of that, word this hour: deposit. DEPOSIT. You got until 55 past this hour to go to our website and enter the keyword deposit. If you do, you will win $1,000 in cash instantly in our Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Let's make it 4 winners 4 days in a row here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Hey you, daydreaming about that perfect house again? Hi, it's John Reeds from Great Midwest Bank, and whether your dream includes buying or building or renovating your current home, I'm happy to report that mortgage rates are finally starting to turn around. So make those dreams a reality with a custom-fit Great Midwest Bank mortgage product. We've been serving Southeast Wisconsin homeowners for nearly 90 years. Find a local experienced loan officer at greatmidwestbank.com. We can't wait to get started. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Here's what Tammy Baldwin thinks about President Trump and you.
Donald Trump might be one of the most offensive and hateful and unacceptable presidential candidates we've ever had. So what does that say about the people who support him?
Tammy Baldwin is a liberal snob. Vote her out.
I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Visit WisconsinVictoryJFC.com to give today. Paid for by Wisconsin Victory Committee.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group. Here's why money Warshevsky.
Techno remix of Toccata and Fugue, the horror staple here in the Dan O'Donnell Show Halloween bumper music rotation. Coming up, good friend of mine, Newsmax host Bianca De La Garza, always entertaining. She will join the show to talk about media bias slipping into outright partisan hackery in the 2024 presidential election. In fact, we've got a fantastic example from the opening of the CBS Evening News last night. You're not going to want to miss that You heard that? Yeah, it was shocking. Producer Dave is not shocked very often. He is shocked but not surprised at the brazenness of the opening. Was that Norah O'Donnell? I believe it was Norah O'Donnell. No relation to your humble host. Wisconsin's largest early vote drive is underway. And I can report to you, in part because of our efforts to promote this, in large part because of the Trump campaign and Republican Party of Wisconsin's efforts to inform every one of their voters that early voting is such an important part of the election. I have got this report coming in from the city of Waukesha. Loyal listener Eric says early voting at Waukesha City Hall is the longest line I've ever seen for early voting. People are parking on the street. This legitimately feels like election day voting. Lest you think that Waukesha, well, okay, there's a huge number of libs in the city of Waukesha. And yes, Waukesha County is because of leftward migration from Milwaukee and Wauwatosa into Brookfield, into the city of Waukesha. Here is a very conservative community, Mukwonago. Huge line of people at Mukwonago. This from Jim. Huge line of people at Mukwonago Village Hall voting early. I've been in line for 30 minutes, and there are still about 50 people ahead of me. I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very good sign as to just how successful our efforts are going to be. This time, I am joined by the entire WISN team. We are calling it the Early Vote Project. We are the most listened to radio station in America, 3 months running, by far the most listened to radio station in the state of Wisconsin. And I think I have finally convinced everyone else. Belling didn't take too much convincing. He's been on this exact same tangent, as has Jay, for a long time. We need to bank our votes early. We need to build up a lead. We cannot allow Democrats to have hours of early voting that we don't. Toward that end, I do believe that I influenced a lazy clerk to actually add more early voting hours simply by calling up and saying, yo, why are you going on vacation in the middle of early voting and only have early voting hours on October 30th and 31st. We will get to that story probably in the 10 o'clock hour. But I do want to tell you some information that I have learned exclusively that is undeniably incredible news for Republicans, for the Trump campaign, and for everyone who does believe that there is going to be a surge of Latino and Black votes for Donald Trump. I have been made aware that the Donald Trump for President campaign has bought a massive amount of advertisements on the two biggest urban radio stations in Philadelphia. This is a buy that's well into the six figures, which for radio advertising for a 2-week stretch is massive. I can't even tell you how massive that is. Even in a big market like Philadelphia, this is a huge buy. To put that into perspective, I have also learned that that's roughly double the amount of money for those same two radio stations bought by the NAACP's Political Action Committee. The Trump campaign therefore strongly believes that the urban vote for Philadelphia can turn out in significant margins for Trump. Now, this follows by about 2 weeks my exclusive report that Kamala Harris had pulled her advertising in significant numbers. And folks, if you'd listened to this radio station for even 45 minutes, you would have heard about 10 Kamala Harris advertisements. Simply because we're the most listened to radio station in America, and campaigns typically buy in swing states and swing cities like Milwaukee, swing markets. They buy based based on the numbers. WISN was a remarkably stupid buy for them because 99% of our listeners are obviously very conservative, but they were still buying Milwaukee in big margins. We also own V100, the biggest urban radio station in the state. They pulled their advertising by a significant amount in Milwaukee to push it on over to Philadelphia. I can also tell you the Republican Party has filled that gap by making a significant buy on V100 on, I believe, Jammin' 98.3, other big urban hip-hop stations in Milwaukee. This suggests... Excuse me, folks. This suggests to me that the Trump campaign and the Republican Party do firmly believe that there is a huge opportunity here to increase turnout among non-traditional voters, especially Black and Latino men. This is a huge development that should further inspire you to get out there and vote. If, in fact, Milwaukee County, if, in fact, Philadelphia County, if, in fact, whatever county Detroit is in, I believe it's Wayne County, if they turn out in good margins for Trump, there is no way Kamala is going to be able to win those states, and therefore there is no way she's going to be able to win the election. Just since I have been talking after the last commercial break, we have got an additional roughly 60 to 70 texts all telling me the same thing. My wife and I early voted. My husband and I just went. We are standing in line. We're hearing about big lines everywhere. That is great. Ladies and gentlemen, keep it up. The Wisconsin's largest early vote drive continues. After this, we also talk with Newsmax superstar Bianca De La Garza about media bias. Stay tuned.
Put a smell on you.
Eric Hovde's been caught lying again. Caught lying about Tammy Baldwin 20 times in his ads. The latest, quote, Hovde falsely claimed that Tammy Baldwin supports sex change surgery on minors. The truth? Tammy Baldwin doesn't support that, and there's no sex change surgeries on minors anywhere in Wisconsin. None. Hovde also lied about Baldwin, quote, giving our money to a transgender clinic. That's been found false 3 different times. The Journal Sentinel says the truth is Baldwin supported mental health funding for a homeless youth shelter. That's right. Hovde's attacking a place for homeless kids. We all know what Eric Hovde is doing. He's trying to scare you, but they are all lies. Wisconsin is better than this. We're not going to let some billionaire California banker lie his way into the United States Senate.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell for my friends at Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you wherever you are in southeast Wisconsin. I've been a loyal Mander customer for nearly 8 years now because of their skill and price, sure, but also because their customer service is the sort you can only get at a third-generation family business. But don't just take my word for it. Here's Colleen, who writes, I just recently had my car repaired at Mander, and they were amazing in every way. Special shout out to Noelle at the front desk for always being available and providing updates. Very much appreciated. So too is your testimonial, Colleen, because I have heard dozens and dozens just like it. People talk about the great experience they have at Mander because it really is the best decision you can make after a collision. With 7 locations to serve you, you can start your repair easily at mandercollision.com. That's mandercollision.com.
Just who is Peter Barca? Barca is a career politician we simply can't trust. We can't trust him to protect law enforcement because Barca raised money for an anti-police group that called our officers occupying soldiers. Can't trust Barca on the border either. He voted to support sanctuary cities putting violent criminals before our families. And while fentanyl floods our streets, Barca chose radical politics over our safety. Our veterans can't trust Peter Barca. He voted to cut cut the benefits they earned and deserve, endangering our families and communities, dishonoring our veterans. We just can't trust a career politician like Peter Barca.
I'm Brian Stile. I'm working to support families, stand with law enforcement, and honor our veterans. Families are struggling to afford the things that they need. That's why I'm working to lower costs and stop wasteful spending. I'm Brian Stile, and I approve this message because together we will get our country back on track.
Paid for by Style for Wisconsin.
Sendix is doing the extraordinary, offering a free gift card on Saturday, October 26th at any of Sendix 14 area supermarkets. Purchase a $100 gift card using your Red Bag Rewards number and get a $15 gift card free. A free $15 gift card you can give as a gift or use it to buy that special seafood item, bottle of wine, or home decor item. A one-of-a-kind customer celebration, a free Sendix gift card. This Saturday only at any of Sendix 14 area stores. Sendix, your trusted local grocer.
Okay, close your mouth and take a deep breath in through your nose. So the way it's supposed to be is that you should be able to breathe easily. You shouldn't feel constrained. What it should feel like is air briskly flowing freely through both nasal passages, day and night. And if not, there's a problem. And it's a don't know what your problem really was until you got it fixed kind of problem. You're living with it. I mean, you're tired a lot. It might give you headaches and sinus pressure, but you're living with it. Yeah, you sound like almost every patient we help until we get their problem fixed. And then you hear them saying, why would I put up with that? Advent will get you breathing freely again with simple in-office solutions like turbinate reduction along with balloon sinuplasty that really can change your life.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Do you think our country's going in the right direction? Or does it feel like everything's falling apart? If you're a bit concerned, you're not alone. In fact, Americans from all walks of life have taken action to prepare for whatever's coming next. And that starts with having an emergency food supply. Storing food in your home is the right thing to do because we're living in crazy times, which explains why so many people are preparing. Right now, you can get ready too with a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious foods like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, and mushroom rice pilaf, all offering over 2,000 calories every day. Their food kit lasts up to 25 years. Who knows what our country will look like then? But when that day comes, you'll be ready. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com now to order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now.
Hello, this is John Kuhn for Hildebrand Law Firm. When I played, it was all about trust. Trust my teammates, trust myself, trust the process. And now, trust for my family's well-being is with Hildebrand Law Firm. Your family's financial security is vital. Hildebrand Law believes estate planning is for everyone. So don't put it off. I didn't. Kirsten Hildebrand and her expert team will show you how to protect your assets for you and your family. Visit Hildebrand Law today, your local estate planner. Your family deserves it. To learn more, visit them at hildebrandlawfirm.net. That's hildebrandlawfirm.net. You can trust Hildebrand Law. I do.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Wisconsin's largest early vote drive is underway, and we are seeing massive, and I mean massive, turnout in predominantly conservative areas all across Wisconsin. I am hearing in Waukesha County, especially Washington County, big lines out the door in some cases. City of Waukesha, loyal listener Eric reports that it looks like in-person day of voting. It looks like election day. That's how pumped people are. Here's how it works. You vote. You take your wife to vote, your husband to vote, your kids, your parents, everybody in your immediate family. Get them out. Tell me via text on our adventknows.com talk and text line 414-799-1130 that you did We will add you to the tally. We will make sure we are counting every single early vote to try to get as big of a lead as possible. What we're up against, mainstream media coverage. Here is how Norah O'Donnell of CBS's Evening News opened up her show last night. I want you to see if you can tell there's just a very subtle difference in how she reports on Trump's campaigning versus Kamala's. You ready? It's very subtle. It is very subtle. So you have to listen very carefully. You might notice a slight difference in the coverage.
Election day is just over 2 weeks away, and the fight for every single last undecided vote in battleground states is intensifying. Vice President Kamala Harris is targeting disaffected Republican voters by hitting the trail with Liz Cheney in the crucial blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Cheney was a powerful Republican congresswoman, and today she called Harris a responsible adult. As for former President Donald Trump, he was back in North Carolina again, pushing false claims about FEMA and immigrants. That's after he spent the weekend slinging a crude insult at Harris, engaging in lewd locker room talk about the late golfing legend Arnold Palmer, and staging a campaign stunt at a Pennsylvania McDonald's.
You see, you can barely tell what side Norah O'Donnell is on. It is very difficult, admittedly. So I want you to listen to this again. Here is Norah telling CBS News viewers about Kamala's weekend.
Election day is just over 2 weeks away, and the fight for every single last undecided vote in battleground states is intensifying. Vice President Kamala Harris is targeting disaffected Republican voters by hitting the trail with Liz Cheney in the crucial blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Cheney was a powerful Republican congresswoman, and today she called Harris a responsible adult.
A powerful congresswoman who lost a primary by, what, 40 points? So that is how she's targeting disaffected Republicans because she's such a great candidate. Even Republicans want to vote for her. Very next breath, Norah O'Donnell takes a breath and then goes into this diatribe about Trump.
As for former President Donald Trump, he was back in North Carolina again, pushing false claims about FEMA and immigrants. That's after he spent the weekend slinging a crude insult at Harris, engaging in lewd locker room talk about the late golfing legend Arnold Palmer, and staging a campaign stunt at a Pennsylvania McDonald's.
Oh, my goodness. I can't tell the difference between the two sentences there. So we are going to bring on somebody who can. Bianca De La Garza is a host on Newsmax. In fact, I may be personally biased. I believe the best one on Newsmax TV. Don't tell any of the other hosts that I go on their programs about that. She also has a brand new book out right now. You can get it on Amazon. It is called On the Front Lines of the Left's War on Truth. Bianca, thank you so very much for joining me.
Oh, my gosh, Dan, thank you. And that setup, how apropos that we're talking about the war on the truth. What you just played was so epic and so emblematic of the sick coverage that is basically, now putting people's information and their ability to see clearly. I think it's actually been such a great exercise, and I think it's backfiring. That was incredible what you just played. I mean, did we really hear that it was Donald Trump in North Carolina pushing FEMA misinformation? You mean the money they spent on migrants? Okay.
So you're telling me that after years of being in broadcasting yourself, writing a book on this, you could tell that very subtle difference in coverage. Now, this is why people should go out and buy your book, because you can hear what other people can't in the media's bias. I'm kidding, of course. Go ahead.
Of course. It's very much just sort of like I've had a front row, like humming 3 hours of live coverage every day. I've sort of been on when I say the front lines, I really have had a front row seat to the most insane, as we can all agree, volatile period in recent American history. The book kind of encapsulates this. But the problem you have is when you want people to understand the truth, you and I, we're the conduits to that. So when you have these people like Norah O'Donnell, and I could substitute so many other legacy big media names in that, that don't live in the real world, don't ask the questions, that is actually a travesty. And what they're doing is they're hurting the American public, and they are helping this machine, the machine that replaced, Joe Biden and installed Kamala Harris. And you and I, we were there together at the RNC. You came on my show during that week. And the twists and turns, we were there kind of watching it all unfold. I write about that, but I sort of write about the deeper rot we're seeing in the media. And that's why they hate Donald Trump, because they know if he gets in, that fake news that he had called them. Now Americans get it and they see it. Do we also want to mention how when she was at this event yesterday with Liz Cheney, they took no questions? It was all Maria Shriver picking the questions.
Well, in fact, Bianca, we actually have that soundbite right queued up. Okay, here we go. This is how we roll on the Dan O'Donnell Show, Bianca. You asked for the soundbite. We have got it. Our crack production team. This is Maria Shriver at a town hall. This was not the one in Brookfield that was co-moderated by noted Democrat Charlie Sykes. This was one from earlier in the day. It was Maria Shriver moderating a town hall with Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris. One of the attendees, as is customary at a town hall, asks, hey, are we going to be able to ask some questions? Here's Shriver's answer.
You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions, and hopefully I'll be able to ask some of the questions that might be in your head. I hope so.
Predetermined questions, Bianca.
You're not going to be able to ask questions. You're not going to be able to think independently. You're going to do what we say. We're going to tell you what to think and who to vote for.
Right.
And if you don't do that, you're phobic. You're transphobic. You're anti-immigrant. You're a white supremacist. Wait, you're a Latino supremacist, brown supremacist, whatever they want to label you. These people are insane, and they make millions and millions and millions of dollars. They live in their ivory tower. They don't really live in our world, and that's the problem. Today's Democratic Party, we look at Donald Trump, slinging the fries, talking to people. I loved that. And that is a side of him that the media doesn't want people to know. But that's not new to Donald Trump. He used to go through, there's a clip that's resurrecting now, Dan, when he was at the hotel and he was at, when he's wearing, the cleaning gloves, and he went and cleaned hotel rooms.
Yep.
He gets his hands dirty, but the problem is the disgusting big legacy media, if they let people know that, they let people know he has a heart. Yeah, he says some things that, maybe are brash and whatever, but he has a heart, and they cannot stand that, because if people understand that, then everything that they've said about him being a dictator, being a threat, being Hitler, putting you in camps, Joy Reid said he's going to put people in camps, then all of that falls apart. Everything that they have been kind of trying to pull over our eyes is gone.
Well, and that's just it. That was why the McDonald's photo op was such a big deal on Sunday. I mean, that's why the Al Smith dinner was such a big deal last Thursday, because people look at that and say, wait, this guy is a dictator. The guy who was president for 4 years and most certainly wasn't a dictator, the guy who's laughing with people, giving him an extra chicken McNugget,
saw that.
making jokes at the Al Smith dinner that Kamala wouldn't deign to go to. It destroys that media narrative. And there is a quote from George Orwell that I think just perfectly encapsulates where we're at right now. And I'm sure you know it, Bianca, but it is, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. That from 1984, of course. And that's what we're seeing in 2024. You see Donald Trump having fun, joking around, but you're told to reject this information and see him like, as The Atlantic called him, Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini all rolled into one.
I don't, and it's so bad now, because they said Joe Biden was great, and then they had to reverse course after that debate. That was just, we weren't surprised, but a lot of people. And now they're trying to sell Kamala Harris as this sort of second coming. So I think the rapid speed of which sort of they kind of switched her out has really been eye-opening for a lot of folks. And, one of the chapters I write about is the cheap fake, which Karine Jean-Pierre tried to say everything that we were seeing was cheap fake. But here's a question about McDonald's. If Kamala really worked there, put your friends out. I know you get your tax records. She still hasn't really confirmed that she did work there. So, I mean, that would be the ultimate flex, but she hasn't done it. So, what's really going on here? So
well,
and you know what?
Here's the thing, Bianca. I still have Social Security records from a job I worked at a bank that no longer exists, by the way. It was bought by a bigger bank like 20 years ago. I have got records from that. I believe I was 18 years old. I've still got Social Security records of me working at the Finish Line shoe store when I was a high school senior. Clearly, there are records in the government that exist. She could easily provide these, but she's not going to.
And, you know, the media won't press her. Just to bring it all full circle, because that's what we like to do here. CBS, when they took Kamala's answer and they reinserted a different answer, and now they won't release the transcripts. And they're saying, well, Donald Trump wouldn't come on. That is apples and oranges. It goes to show the lengths of media, not only not pressing her. Today she has 2 sit-down interviews. She'll get a bunch of softballs. But the fact that they're in coordination, they're in concert. When you have a government that is working against the people, and you have a media that is not functioning, a free and fair press, it is exactly what you said with 1984. It is the final step. And that's why we see folks like Elon Musk saying the fate of our civilization depends on this. That's why you have folks like Russell Brand, who I don't know if you bumped into him. I bumped into him at the RNC, but he just tweeted out a short time ago, the world will not be the same after November the 5th. We know this. And I can't believe when I started writing this book, if you said, oh, yeah, there'd be, you know, assassination attempts and a coup, and this, I said, no way. Like, I know I cover 3 hours of news a day. I can't even go into telling you what's in this book, what we just witnessed. It is all the insider scoop of everyone who was on the air as things were breaking. Do you remember that day at the RNC when it came out that it was Obama saying, yeah, I don't think Joe Biden
right.
will.
Yep.
After he had come out and said, like, they did that big fundraiser. Like, that's breaking on the air. Donald Trump walking in that room. I mean, it was incredible. The first time we had eyes on him after he escaped a miracle, a bullet, just grazing his ear. These things, we don't even hear about the assassination attempts anymore. They don't even cover it in mainstream media. It's like they want to just kind of gloss over and put her in, and Americans are seeing it. And I love the revival, and I love the power of the people that we're witnessing. That's something to behold, and I see it every day, and that's why I am fighting so hard to make sure people get the information. The book is one way to do it, but also the early voting, super encouraging. But we need people who weren't planning to vote, too. We need everyone involved in this process.
She is Bianca De La Garza. The book is called On the Front Lines of the Left's War on Truth. Highly recommend you pick it up. Amazon, easiest way to get it. Just click that Buy Now button. I'm sure with Prime, it'll be at your doorstep by like 6 o'clock p.m. You can also catch Bianca on Newsmax at noon Eastern. That's 11 o'clock Central Time. So as soon as you're done listening to every single second of the Dan O'Donnell Show, head on over to Newsmax. Bianca, you are on for 2 hours or 3?
I'm on for 2 hours, and we have a sister network called N2, and I do the third hour, which is 3 o'clock your time. My show is Newswire later in the day. So all day, every day, I can't get enough of this. This is historic times, and I just feel incredibly blessed to be able to do my civic duty as a journalist, which you are doing too, and too many people in legacy media have forgotten that their job is to give people information, facts, and truth. Shame on them.
Bianca, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Thank you also for putting an uggo like me on television. Do appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you. I love your viewers, and I love what you do, honestly. And also, you're an attorney. We had all those lawfare situations.
Yeah,
and you were coming in and just giving the sensible thing. People need to understand it. That was complex stuff, and you really did a great job.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, any election-related stuff, constitutional stuff, swing state Wisconsin stuff, you know I am here. We are running way late for a commercial break. Bianca, thank you again so very much. Bianca De La Garza, Newsline, 11 o'clock Central Time on Newsmax. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back.
If you're someone who hears love and thinks about a quarterback instead of romance, you're primed to listen to Green Bay Grapevine on WISN. Before and after every game, hard-boiled reporter Mark Daniels tells Jay Weber and his morning show audience about all of the trends and subtleties swirling around the green and gold.
Green Bay Grapevine is presented by Bob's Glass in Waukesha, featuring installation of glorious glass shower doors. If it's anything glass, think Bob's Glass. Bobs-glass.com.
A lot can happen in 25 years, especially in the swamps of Washington, D.C. When we first elected her, Tammy Baldwin focused on Wisconsin. But Baldwin changed. Today, she rakes in campaign cash from left-wing groups and does their bidding. Baldwin supports forcing women's domestic violence shelters in Wisconsin to admit biological men, making survivors of domestic violence sleep in the same building as men. She supported puberty blockers and sex change surgeries for minor children in Wisconsin. Baldwin even voted to send stimulus checks to criminals in jail, including the Boston Marathon bomber. We thought we knew Tammy Baldwin, but she's changed. Now it's time for us to make a change. Replace Tammy Baldwin. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Are you ready to score big this football season? Thielman Group is heating things up with a sweepstakes that'll have you cheering louder than a stadium crowd. The rivalry between Green Bay and Chicago is legendary, just like the services provided by the Thielman Group. Imagine this: 4 Green Bay versus Chicago tickets for the grand prize winner. Yes, you heard right. Gather your friends for the ultimate game day experience. But wait, there's more. Our runner-up doesn't go home empty-handed. How about 2 tickets to see Green Bay take on Chicago? And for our third place winner, ensure your home air quality is as perfect as a touchdown with the Patriot Indoor Air Quality System. Whether you're a die-hard football fan or a homeowner looking for comfort, Thielman Group has you covered. Gear up, enter now, and get ready to cheer on your team like never before. For more info, go online to thielmangroup.com. That's Thielman with 2 N's, group.com. Thielman Group, Southeast Wisconsin's premier HVAC provider, making your home comfortable and your game days unforgettable.
Here's what Tammy Baldwin thinks about President Trump and you.
Donald Trump might be one of the most offensive and hateful and unacceptable presidential candidates we've ever had. So what does that say about the people who support him?
Tammy Baldwin is a liberal snob. Vote her out.
I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Visit WisconsinVictoryJFC.com to give today. Paid for by Wisconsin Victory Committee.
At Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, we have finance options for new exterior remodeling projects for almost anybody. And if you have the right credit, we'll beat your bank's rate.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Hi, I'm Dewey Strobel. When I learned that 1 in 7 Wisconsinites struggle with literacy and that only 13% of elementary students at our state's largest school district read at grade level, I knew we had to do something. Reading is the #1 building block for learning, and our kids were falling behind. So I introduced and passed a bipartisan literacy bill to develop a proven phonics-based curriculum and give schools the resources they need to implement it. Teaching our kids to read isn't partisan. I worked with elected officials from both sides of the aisle to get this bill signed into law by Governor Evers. Because to keep our state moving forward, we have to make sure our kids have the tools that they need to be successful. I'm Dewey Strobel, and when Wisconsin is facing serious issues, you can count on me to cut through the partisan gridlock and deliver results for you and your family. I'd be honored to earn your vote for State Senate this November. Paid for by Dewey for Senate.
Halloween soundtrack starts with Halloween Radio on the free iHeart app.
With your hands on your hips.
Plus custom playlists from every genre and the spookiest podcasts on the planet. Open the free iHeart Radio app, search Halloween, and listen now.
iHeart Radio.
Free never sounded so good.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month is still going strong, and LifeLock has a message about phishing. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal your personal information. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start protecting your identity with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my first name, Clay, as your promo code. Terms apply.
Producer Dave called Bianca De La Garza the female Ben Shapiro because she was just spitting fact after fact after fact. I was talking with Bianca during the commercial break. We are going to most likely be having her on more often because she was fantastic. We don't have time right now for Unhinged Liberal of the Day. We'll push that to the end of the show. Also, some huge developments in the Kamala Harris campaign. There is now outright panic about the swing states, one of them in particular. We will get to that as the Wisconsin state's largest early vote drive continues when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns. Keep those texts coming, folks. We're back in about 6 minutes.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. In-person absentee voting begins today in Wisconsin. State Elections Administrator Megan Wolf says hours and locations do vary.
So please check with your municipal clerk about the in-person absentee options that are available in your community. Most voters can also find their in-person absentee options on myvote.wi.gov.
As is the case on Election Day, in-person absentee voters will need to present valid photo ID in order to cast a ballot. Vice President Kamala Harris held a campaign event in Brookfield last night. Harris engaged in a moderated conversation with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. The vice president alerted suburban voters about the potential impact of another Trump presidency.
There's so much about this election that calls into question whether we are on a track with a Donald Trump as president to actually teach and to show our children our definition of a leader.
The goal of the evening was to reach voters in the traditionally Republican stronghold of Waukesha County. The Harris campaign is declining a live interview with Elon Musk on X. During a CNBC interview, billionaire investor Mark Cuban said the Harris campaign didn't trust that Musk would stick to the topic of the election. Musk responded on X, writing that he'd be, in his words, happy to have a live discussion so there can't be any distortion. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, Chris Middleton won't be in the lineup when the Bucs start their regular season in Philadelphia tomorrow. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
They used water to restore your wood? No wonder you need us. Well, don't worry. This time we'll do it right. You see, water raises the grain of wood, warps it, and opens splits and glue joints. It's the enemy of finished furniture. And that's why we only remove your finish chemically. It's not the cheap way, but it is the best way. For the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If you have a great piece and want to see if it's worth restoring, of course we can send someone out there. And no, we won't charge for the visit. We've been doing that for almost 50 years, along with pickups and deliveries, to get the beautiful piece that we restore back in your home safe and sound. And we'll guarantee your satisfaction to boot. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Beautiful start to the day, nice and quiet for the early part of the morning. Midday showers are possible for today, and then we clear back out with partly sunny skies. Highs today will be warm in the lower 70s. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Holly Baker.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back. Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit LynchTruckCenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
Hey, business owners, it's Joe Breyer with Lake Country Advisors. Are you thinking about selling your business? It's a big decision, and most business owners aren't sure really where to begin. That's why at Lake Country Advisors, we offer free exit strategy consultations. Our team will meet with you in person and will discuss the value of your business and answer all your questions on how to sell your business confidentially. So contact us today by visiting LakeCountryAdvisors.com. That's Lake Country Advisors, changing the way businesses change hands.
Call Callan to remodel your kitchen or bathroom or to replace windows and doors. Callan, design, build, live. Call 414-529-5509. Visit callcallan.com or stop at its Muskego Design Center.
Want to make your yard the envy of the neighborhood? Tune in to Brett Ochtenhagen's Seasonal Services Designer Yard Show to learn landscaping secrets. Visit seasonalservices.com and listen on News Talk 1130 WISN, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Want to sell your house fast for cash? Don't waste time listing your home. With Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer, get a fair cash offer. Choose your own closing date. No commissions or repair costs. We buy houses for cash, any condition, anywhere in Milwaukee. Go to MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com.
Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. Go to TriCountyContractingWI.com to see completed projects near you, find out about our worry-free roof tune-up, request a free estimate, or get your free online instant roof price. Tri-County Contracting.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month is still going strong, and LifeLock has a message about phishing. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal your personal information. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start protecting your identity with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my first name, Clay, as your promo code. Terms apply.
Blunt force from an honest man. The Jay Weber Show, weekday morning 6 to 9 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Be sure to listen to the Annex Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Annex provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by the WISN Vote Early Project. Make your voice heard now. Early voting is open. Contact your municipal clerk for details.
Are you folks as pumped up as I am? I don't think it's possible, but I sure hope so. We have gotten, by my unofficial estimate, already, we are closing in on, I'm guessing, 800 to 900 early votes as registered and logged in Wisconsin's largest early vote project. No, actually, that's what we're calling it. Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. It's the WISN Turnout Project. They're trying their best to confuse me here. We are trying to get every single vote we can banked long before Election Day so that we can have an insurmountable advantage. And ladies and gentlemen, it appears to be working. Headline from NBCNews.com this morning. Democrats break for a possible crack in the blue wall and signs of North Carolina slipping. The Harris campaign has privately flagged concerns about Michigan, but officials stress the race is close across the board. Here is the story. Natasha Korecki, Carolee Lee, Monica Alba. The blue wall states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania have paved the path to the White House for the last two Democrat presidents. But with just 14 days until the November 5th election, there are concerns within Kamala Harris's campaign about whether the vice president can claim all three states. Recent discussions have centered on the possibility of an anomaly happening this year, with just part of the blue wall breaking its way. The conversations have focused on whether Michigan or Wisconsin fall to former President Donald Trump, while the other two states go blue, according to three sources with knowledge of the campaign's strategy. Just to be clear, with North Carolina, the state that Kamala was also most bullish on among the Sun Belt states, the swing states in the South, also in deep danger of falling to Trump. If Kamala doesn't win all three of those blue wall states, she has no path to the election. None. If, as expected, Trump wins Arizona and Georgia, if he wins North Carolina, he can lose Nevada and then only needs to win one of the three of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. In other words, the path is there. Now, I can report exclusively once again that the Trump campaign has made a massive, deep six-figure buy of the two biggest urban radio stations in Philadelphia. One is classic hip-hop, one is contemporary rap and R&B. Both obviously are aimed at predominantly Black and Hispanic audiences. Trump is making a play for those voters. This comes as a Fox News poll out today shows Trump leading by about 10 points with Latino voters. Now, lest you think, oh, well, it's Fox. Of course, they're going to be biased for Trump. No, Fox News polls have been notoriously tough on President Trump and have for the last two election cycles, 2016 and 2020, understated his support. Now, why are the Kamala people freaking out about Michigan and North Carolina? Because the early vote, especially in North Carolina, has been very, very, very pro-Trump. Trump counties are turning out in massive numbers for early voting. And lest you think that this is simply cannibalizing the election day turnout, it doesn't work like that. There is always some percentage of voters who say they're going to vote on election day, but don't or can't. The votes that are banked are already cast. The votes that are already in and waiting to be counted are already there. Here in Wisconsin, boy, 15 texts since what I do is I flag one of them as having read it so I can count very quickly how many texts are coming in each minute. It's about 5 or 6 per minute right now. People telling me that they are early voting. A reminder, vote yes on the constitutional amendment question. Producer Dave with a great reminder there. Also, on some ballots, depending on how many races are on your specific ballot, the constitutional amendment question may be on the back of the ballot. We had an incident early this morning, I'm sure it was just oversight, where an election observer didn't tell one of our listeners that the constitutional amendment question was on the back. He said, hey, I had to remind him. He sheepishly said, oh, shoot. Yes, I'll start telling people that from now on. Folks, we can make this happen. Make it, as President Trump says, too big to rig, because heaven knows they're going to try. Just before, I should say, this NBC News story. And folks, clearly, these stories don't come out about candidates who believe they're winning, campaigns who believe they're ahead. In fact, we'll hopefully have time to get to this. We do want to talk with Ron Johnson, helping us with our state's largest early vote drive, turning out the early vote. We're going to talk to him at about 10:35. I want to get to this story. There is an opinion piece in The Hill entitled, "Maybe Joe Biden was the better candidate after all." I don't think I need to explain that one. The biggest reason is Biden connected with white working class Catholic voters, especially in Northwest Pennsylvania, that could prove to be decisive, not just for the state, but also for the entire country. Here's how the state's largest early vote drive works. Vote early vote. Get your spouse to early vote. In fact, during the commercial break, I had to reschedule a meeting for a client that was scheduled for after the show yesterday. Turns out I'm going to be on Bianca De La Garza's Newsmax show. Her producers apparently heard our interview and booked me right away for that yesterday. So we had to move this meeting back a little bit. So I called the sales rep, or the representative for the client, and said, hey, just a heads up, I think we're going to have to do this. I said, no problem, no problem. Hey, by the way, my wife and I are just getting in the car right now to go early vote. Folks, we are having an impact. You are having an impact. Dan Nation, working together, can get Donald Trump elected president. All he needs to do is win Wisconsin. We can make that happen. But in Michigan, just a couple of hours before this story came out about how exactly the Harris campaign is struggling, Jocelyn Benson, who's the Secretary of State in Michigan and runs elections, was on CNN.
Real quickly, the conversation has been, look, don't expect to know who won the election on Election Day, but you have said that your state will have everything certified, ready to go the day after November 6th. Do you still stand by that?
We are on track based on our hardworking election officials and machines and voters to make sure that unofficial results in our state will be ready by the close of day on Wednesday.
Close of day on Wednesday. Did you get that? They've got an extra day to count all their votes. Interestingly enough, I found an old clip from a New York Times story that was done in 2016 where they talked to Jeffrey Toobin of CNN and masturbation fame. And he was talking about, it was a retrospective on the 2000 presidential election. You won't believe what he said. This is 2016 talking about 2000.
The one thing no one expected in a presidential campaign is that we wouldn't know who won on Election Day.
Really? Now it's just sort of accepted that we won't know who won on Election Day. Why do you suppose that is? Folks, this is why it's so important. Make it too big to rig. Go early vote today. Get it done. Then text me at 414-799-1130. That's our adventknows.com talk and text line. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, where you can watch the show streaming live via the DanoCam. I know I said you might need to be watching the DanoCam. I have decided against putting up a photo ID, even though I was going to blur out the relevant parts. I'm going to tell you about this story coming up probably in about 10 minutes. First, the Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Word this hour, credit, CREDIT, credit. You have got until 55 past this hour to go to our website, enter the keyword credit. If your entry is picked at random, you win $1,000 instantly. We did have a winner yesterday, a wonderful woman from the city of Milwaukee named Felicia, who said she needed dental work for her cat, and the amount came out to about $1,000. She was so excited. I speculated the cat's name was Mr. Snuggles. Turns out the cat's name, as she told producer Dave, is Anyo, after her mother. So is it Anyo or Anya? Anya. You told me Anyo. Anya is the name of the cat. Anya is the name of the cat after her mother, who was Anna. Got it? Good. All right. It is a great connection that we make with our listeners. So good luck. Good luck on the dental work, Anna. Congratulations, Felicia. Let's make it 4 days in a row with a winner here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. How about this? While you're waiting in line to early vote, just shoot us, go to our website, enter the contest, get yourself entered. Now, early voting is underway pretty much everywhere, but as my friend and colleague Mark Belling has done an excellent job exposing, in smaller, typically more Republican communities, there is not nearly the opportunity to early vote because clerks are either too lazy or don't care enough to have early voting hours as much as humanly possible. I found an incredible example in the town of Walworth. This is, of course, in Walworth County. It is not the village of Walworth. It is the town of Walworth. There is a difference. We're talking about the town of Walworth. A listener told me that the town of Walworth clerk, Marie Baker, was taking a vacation during early vote times. So I called up yesterday afternoon with the intention of speaking to her and saying, hey, what's going on? She was going to be off October 23rd through October 29th and only have in-person early vote hours from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on October 30th and 31st. Both my listener and source and I thought this was unacceptable, so I called up and said, hi, this is Dan O'Donnell with WISN Radio. Just wondering why there's so little early voting. I have a listener who contacted me very concerned that the clerk is taking a vacation at the exact moment when the clerk needs to perform her duties. What's going on? I called back this morning to follow up and actually see if the voicemail, because it went to voicemail, and that's how I learned about the exact early voting hour. She, of course, didn't say she was going on vacation, but she said early voting the clerk's office will be closed October 23rd through the 29th, and early voting will only be on the 30th and 31st. That Wednesday and Thursday couldn't bother to work on Friday the 1st, clearly. I called back this morning and got a totally different message. There is going to be in-person early voting today in the town of Walworth. There will still be a vacation that's apparently going on from the 23rd through the 29th, which is still grossly unacceptable. There will be in-person early voting on the 30th and the 31st. And then there will be hours, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then on Friday the 1st, there will be early voting by appointment. This is still grossly unacceptable. If you live in the town of Walworth, call them up, please, and register your disappointment. Also, if you live in a community where the clerk just is not doing early voting, contact me. And as I've proven, clearly they changed this because they knew I was going to be talking about this. I'm also going to be forwarding this story on to Belling, and I'm sure in the afternoon he will have something to say about it. Demand your clerks, demand your communities offer early voting every single eligible day. Democrats do it. They overstaff their clerks and elections commission offices with the sole intent of just juicing the Democrat turnout there. Republicans need to do it as well. A disturbing story about the photo ID issued to non-citizens in Wisconsin. Next. Got to get to Built Right today. Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. I love them because they've got their own way of doing things. They're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Built Right actually buys lunch for their entire team every single Saturday, and they make it possible for all of their employees to be off at the same time each year for an Easter, summer, and winter vacation. Those are among the reasons that the 96-year-old locally and family-owned store was selected as the Home Furnishings Association Retailer of the Year in 2023. HFA's CEO says of the Built Right family, they do things for their team and they do things to respond to their customers. They know what works and they've stuck with it. Randy Kay, fourth generation, says it's our hard work, passion, and dedication. So get to Built Right during the final days of their 96th anniversary celebration and $1 million clearance sell-off. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right, 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Eric Hovde's been caught lying again. Caught lying about Tammy Baldwin 20 times in his ads. The latest, quote, Hovde falsely claimed that Tammy Baldwin supports sex change surgery on minors. The truth? Tammy Baldwin doesn't support that, and there's no sex change surgeries on minors anywhere in Wisconsin. None. Hovde also lied about Baldwin, quote, giving our money to a transgender clinic. That's been found false 3 different times. The Journal Sentinel says the truth is Baldwin supported mental health funding for a homeless youth shelter. That's right. Hovde's attacking a place for homeless kids. We all know what Eric Hovde is doing. He's trying to scare you, but they are all lies. Wisconsin is better than this. We're not going to let some billionaire California banker lie his way into the United States Senate.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi. Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word SECURE to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Tour de force of truth, the sort of truth the rest of the media used to report but now ignores or openly covers up. Yesterday, I reported to you that election observers are being instructed to make sure that driver's licenses that are presented at polling places do not include the terms limited term on the front of the license. The specific instruction I saw from an election observer who passed this along to me was, quote, "We have been notified that non-U.S. citizens may attempt to register or vote using a Wisconsin's driver's license, which has been issued to them for a limited term. If you get one of these, get your chief." It says limited term in all caps on the front of the license, directly below the address form, directly above where you would have your gender, weight, and height. Limited term. This doesn't identify someone specifically as a non-citizen. But if you see limited term, you're supposed to get the chief election inspector, you're supposed to get the chief poll worker, and you're supposed to dig in a little more about whether this person is actually a citizen. This morning, I was informed by a loyal listener, a member of Dan Nation, who happens to be married to an immigrant from South America, and I'm not going to identify her any further. They met in the late teens. They got married in 2019. She came over here and is a permanent legal resident. In other words, she has a green card. She is working on her citizenship and will likely get citizenship next year, possibly the following year. Congratulations to her. American love story, right? He sent me a picture of her driver's license. It does not include the words limited term on it. There is nothing on her driver's license that indicates she is not a U.S. citizen and thus not eligible to vote. This driver's license was issued in 2023, June of 2023. This was the first driver's license she has ever received in America. Now, this does not mean that illegal immigrants will be able to use these to vote, because illegal immigrants in Wisconsin cannot get valid driver's licenses. However, this also, and my loyal listener wanted to be clear, his wife knows that she can't vote. There's no way in heck that she would vote. But she and other non-citizens like her who have Wisconsin's driver's licenses are, I believe, essentially on their honor system to not vote. Now, there is a massive fine and I believe prison time that is associated with voting as a non-citizen. However, yeah, it's a $10,000 fine and a felony charge. The Wisconsin Elections Commission, I am told by multiple sources, has not adequately trained poll workers on how to spot a non-citizen's ID. I am not going to lie to you and say that there is going to be a massive epidemic of non-citizens voting in elections, but there very well could be. Do you remember Al Franken? He was a senator from Minnesota, SNL comedian who his career went down in a ball of flames in the Me Too movement. He was elected, and there was a very credible study that was done that suggested non-citizens voting in Minnesota actually tipped that election. It was very, very close. You might remember all the ballots found in the trunk of a car. Would you believe me if I told you there was another trunk full of ballots found in Minneapolis a couple of days ago? Not Minneapolis, Eden Prairie, Minnesota, I believe was the name of the town. Just 5 boxes worth of ballots just sitting in the trunk of a car. No cause for concern, though. Everything's totally normal. I am not going to sit here and suggest that we have a veritable army of non-citizens who are going to vote and vote for Kamala Harris. This woman would rather obviously vote for Donald Trump if she could. And I think it's also old-fashioned thinking to believe that most immigrants would vote Democrat anymore. I think a substantial percentage of Republicans, or rather non-citizens, legal non-citizens, are in fact Republicans. But the fact that there is not a clear designation for this ID may not be used for voting on a Wisconsin ID is, to me, a very big issue. How many people could use an identification, a state-issued driver's license to vote? A driver's license that looks identical in every way. If you saw that, and I have decided I am going to blur out, I'm going to post this on social media, Facebook and Twitter, so that people are aware. This driver's license for this young lady looks exactly like a citizen's driver's license. Exactly, in every single respect. But it's not a citizen's driver's license. This is a major issue. Again, this isn't to suggest that somehow you're going to have a massive flood of illegal immigrants voting, but consider this. You remember all those Haitians who were eating the dogs and eating the cats in Springfield? There were 20,000 of them just sort of imported to Springfield, Ohio. They were all given temporary protected status, meaning they are legally here. I have no idea about Ohio's laws regarding this, but in Wisconsin, it seems to me they'd be able to apply for and get a driver's license. Would it have that temporary designation on it or not? I am going to be following up in depth on this to figure out exactly why some non-citizens are getting voter ID that is identical to the voter ID that's used by citizens, even though they cannot legally use that voter ID to cast a ballot. We will discuss this and much, much more with our good friend, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, coming up when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
We found that the high road is worth the climb, and it's less crowded. At Semperfi, everything we do is done to the best of our ability. There are no shortcuts. It's pretty simple. We do what we say we're going to do because we fully understand that a reputation is never given. It's always earned. It is in our nature to keep our values intact so that when we leave your job, you'll be right there to shake our hand with satisfaction. We've installed massive flat roofs and shingled huge churches, schools, and all kinds of homes from modest to extravagant, all with integrity and pride in our work. And we're going to keep doing it for generations to come. That's what Always Faithful means to us. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi. For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Today's Dan O'Donnell program is brought to you by Great Midwest Bank. Whether you're ready to buy, build, or renovate, Great Midwest Bank takes the stress out of paying for it. Get started today at greatmidwestbank.com.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
Dan O'Donnell here. It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management. I'm joined by the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano, and we are now just days away, Dave, from the presidential election.
You know, you think about, Dan, what we've been talking about, that during the presidential election year, the market rallies into the hope that either side is going to win. And true to form, market's up 24% year to date. And, you know, the difference between these two candidates are so wide. You think about what stocks or what sectors will do better under each presidency, value versus growth. For example, you think about even Trump trades, you know, non-U.S. stocks versus U.S. stocks. Perhaps how does China react? Does NAFTA get reworked? Border security stocks. And ironically, the defense stocks are doing better when the Democrats have been surging. So really a lot going on here, Dan. And of course, you can't vote your politics. And it will be interesting that the last couple of elections were determined by 0.04% of the total votes cast. And so it's going to be close, folks. Let's take a look at it. And of course, don't vote your politics because either way, the market has rallied into the election.
Yeah, this is why you always need to invest logically. Politics is inherently emotional, and you can't invest emotionally. You can't invest for the long term based on short-term political trends or if the candidate you like wins or the candidate you like loses. That's why you need to go to annexwealth.com. Get a review of your portfolio. It's called a wealth metric. Know what you own and why you own it at annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, the CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
It's a bully that will not let up until you do something about it. And the worst part is that the bullying happens when you're at your most vulnerable. You might as well have your hands tied behind your back while that bully puts one hand over your mouth and pinches your nose with the other. He'll let up, let you catch your breath, and then he'll do it again. Sleep apnea is a bully. Not long ago, we heard our friend John tell you about how his bully was stopping his breathing in his sleep over 145 times an hour. Think about what that can do to your body's organs. It's no wonder that the snowball effects of long-term obstructive sleep apnea are heart disease, stroke, even depression and anxiety. But this problem is solvable, and we have solutions, and you'll be surprised at how simple they are.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. It's time to put that bully in his place. Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
I'm Julian Edelman.
I'm Rob Gronkowski.
Welcome to Dudes on Dudes. We're going to highlight players, and we're just going to sit here and talk about them. And we'll get into the types of dudes. Is Randy Moss a stud or a freak? Is Tom Brady a dog or a dude's dude?
We're going to find out, Jules. New episodes drop every Thursday during the NFL season.
Listen to Dudes on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Dudes on Dudes to start listening.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Saturday, it's a primetime Big Ten battle with Penn State at the camp. Coverage begins at 2:30 live from Union South on Milwaukee's home for the Badgers. 97.3 The Game.
Wisconsin's largest early vote drive is underway. We are so happy to do this each and every election cycle. As soon as early voting in person opens in the state, we try to get as many of our listeners to do so as humanly possible. Dare I say, I am succeeding. In Pewaukee, a loyal listener, Mike, tells me the lines are enormous. And he overheard people in back of him talking about yours truly and why they are out here, because I have been encouraging for so long so many people to get out and vote. I am reporting exclusively that there are at least some Wisconsin driver's licenses that are being issued to non-citizens that are identical in every respect to those that can be used by citizens for voting. And look, the penalties for non-citizens voting are massive. It is a felony. It is punishable by prison time, $10,000 in fines. Do not, under any circumstances, even think about doing it. You might be a diehard Trump fan. You may think, hey, nobody will ever catch me. Trust me, they will. Joining us now, one of my favorite guests, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, live on the phone. Sir, have you early voted yet?
Absolutely. I absolutely voted. I mailed mine on my way to the Trump rally in Dodge County.
That's awesome. So it's been...
Nobody's used the video yet, but I showed people how to do it. Make sure you sign it, have a witness sign it, and make sure you vote on the amendment. Vote yes.
Yes.
Vote early. And Dan, I appreciate your efforts here, but let me also chime in. It's not just banking your vote. That's the first step. That's, we're asking all of you to do that. Then, once you banked your vote, you need to get everybody else you know to bank theirs as well. Again, this is up to we the people. We're not going to get help out of the media. We're not going to get help out of our education systems. I mean, this is up to us. If we're going to save this country, we've got to work our tails off. So it's not good enough just you voting early. You've got to get everybody you know, and we've got to get into those populations, the low propensity voters, the hunters, the people who like Brian Shimmy always talks about, thinks like us, live like us, would vote like us, but they don't don't vote. Hunters, all these people, they've got to get off the sidelines. If they want to protect their freedoms, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, they have to vote in this election. And again, we're asking them to do it early. Once we've done that, the other rationale for that is our get out the vote effort then will be targeted on those low propensity voters. We're not going to waste our time and resources on those who are going to vote anyway. So if you're going to vote, vote now, so we can devote all of our time and energy on the low propensity voters who will decide this election.
And in fact, those low propensity voters in states where early voting has been going on for some time have actually been, we think, and it's an inexact science, and I would very strongly caution against trying to read too much into early vote numbers. It's just, you can never truly compare one election to another, especially with the 2020 election. So many people voted by mail, so many people voted early, but those low propensity voters, Senator, appear to be in multiple swing states favoring Republicans. So if Republicans can focus all of their effort, all of their time, all of their money on getting those people physically out to the polls, right? And they don't have to waste money on people like you and me who we know are going to vote but have to make sure, that's a massive strategic advantage.
I also want to caution everybody about some of the happy talk out there, the favorable polls and, the Kamala Harris campaign in disarray. Listen, in 2022, there was a poll that showed that I was up 7%. I wasn't. Okay, my internal poll had the thing dead even. Take nothing for granted. Act like we are 10 points down and we have to save this country. So pay no attention to the polls. Do what you need to do. Get out there, vote early, get everybody else to vote early as well. And, listen, I am highly concerned. I liked your story about the town clerk in Walworth, the township of Walworth. I mean, hey, this is game time.
Yep.
This is why you took the job, is to administer an election. You don't take a vacation when you should be administering early voting. I mean, that is unbelievable. I hope he or she changes their mind, and I hope no other clerk is going to be taking time off, and hopefully they'll expand early voting hours so that citizens can do what we're asking them to do.
For those who missed my story earlier this morning, the town of Walworth clerk decided to shut down the clerk's office. I can only surmise to go on vacation October 23rd. That's tomorrow through October 29th. Basically, the entirety of the early vote period. And she was only going to have early voting October 30th and 31st. Town of Walworth, not village, town of Walworth. I called up and asked, hey, it's Dan O'Donnell from WISN. What the hell's going on here? She immediately said, okay. We're going to have in-person early voting on the 22nd, which is today. And then we're going to have the same 30th and 31st hours. And then on Friday, November 1st, early voting by appointment. So I guess that's something. You would think it would not be too much to ask to take your vacation after Election Day. The one major duty of a municipal clerk every couple of years, actually every year we have municipal elections, is to administer those elections. But alas. So I guess, Senator, what you're saying, what I'm saying, if you're in a community that doesn't have as many early vote hours as it should, demand them, right?
Absolutely. And by the way, I appreciate you also pointing out the flaws in our system here in terms of driver's licenses. I've been raising the alarm of this for literally months. About my biggest concern is illegal immigrants voting. I mean, Biden, through an executive order, probably in violation of the Hatch Act, have ordered his department heads, agency heads to register people to vote. Now, I'm sure that would be in a completely partisan way. Then he opens up the borders, allows millions of illegal immigrants to flood in here. Very appreciative of Democrats who let them come to this country without a valid asylum claim. So you think that maybe a few of them will vote? We have evidence from around the country of illegal immigrants registering to vote, sometimes even without their knowledge. So how could that happen? For what purpose? So we know Democrats want to make it easy to cheat, which means they want to cheat, which means they will cheat. So we need to overwhelm them with our votes. I mean, that's what we need to do. Now, we do have election integrity things in place. I mean, the fact that we have all these poll workers that we recruited certainly helped in 2022. I mean, the results in Milwaukee were in by 11 o'clock. I knew I'd won, even though the media was going to give Mandela Barnes a few more hours to get votes. But it helps. But it's not foolproof. So, again, we just need to overwhelm. Too big to rig is a great slogan that we need to take seriously.
And I think it is working. I mean, I don't want to be accused of engaging in happy talk, Senator Johnson. And I have cautioned against it myself, but said, look, we need to have a realistic idea of where this election is. There was a story from NBCnews.com that just broke this morning that the Kamala campaign is worried that they're going to lose Michigan and North Carolina. Now, this isn't polling. These are people with direct knowledge talking to friendly media sources, I think, hoping to sound the alarm, hey, we need some help in Michigan and North Carolina. But they're doing this because they see the early vote is coming in so strong for Republicans, who almost always do very, very well on Election Day. So the earlier you can get your vote out, the more likely it is that we have an even bigger swamping at the polls on Election Day, because we can get those low propensity voters out in the swing states like North Carolina, Michigan, and here in Wisconsin, right?
Right, and again, I'm not accusing you of happy talking, but I just remember 2022 when, let's face it, we all assumed that was going to be not only a red wave, but a red tsunami. I mean, anybody with rational thought would take a look at what the Democrats and their governments were doing to this country, is destroying it. I mean, how bad does it have to get? And yet that was not a red wave. I mean, that was barely a red ripple. And so, you know, I caution everybody, just based on the experience of 2022, take nothing for granted. We've got the right game plan in place, the ground game, paid field staff, early voting, but now we got to execute. And let's face it, in the end, you can't force somebody to vote. Maybe Democrats can, but on our side, we don't do that. We just try and do everything we can to help people to facilitate them to vote, and we're just begging them to do so, because literally this election is crucial. This is a make or break moment for America. I agree with Elon Musk. We don't win this thing. We're not going to have another fair election in this country. The Democrats, again, they are totalitarians. Let's face it. They are tyrants. They want this to be a one-party nation. That's what they're trying to accomplish. We need to stop them.
Yes, we do. Best way to do that, and you can do it very easily. Vote. Get your wife or husband to vote. Take them with you. Vote today. Get your kids, get your parents, aunts, uncles. Then text everybody you know. As Senator Johnson says, this is how we run Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. We want to leverage the connections that you have with people in your personal life. We want you to be, I hate this term, but we want you to be an influencer. We want you to get as many votes banked for Trump as possible. Senator Johnson, thank you so much. Always do appreciate talking to you, and enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
You too. And again, just to all your listeners, it's up to us.
Yep.
Somebody else isn't going to do it for you. It is up to us. Each individually, you have to do it. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. I am Dan O'Donnell. We will be back with more conservative thought, not just talk.
A lot of window companies do claim their windows are the best. So I wanted to take this time to state the case for Marvin Windows. Now, we are one of Wisconsin's largest Marvin window dealers, and no one around here offers more color and size combinations than us. But it's for good reason. Marvin builds each window the way it should be, made to order one at a time. Marvin has over 150,000 options that meet or exceed Energy Star standards, and their optional factory-applied finishes are conditioned, clear-coated, sanded, and baked in an oven before they're even assembled. That's big, because as nature tends to expand the woodwork, it means you'll never see a bare finish. This is David Wilhelm, and Marvin Windows and Doors are indeed your best choice, because they're built around you. Let us tell you more about them at your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Jay Weber here, someone who knows firsthand how debilitating
spine and back problems can be and who knows where to turn to get the highest level of spine care. The team of board-certified physicians and surgeons at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Ortho Wisconsin has treatment plans that can get you back to an active lifestyle and through the least invasive method possible. They take a multifaceted approach that allows them to use a variety of treatment options and find the best for you. Dr. Michael Nolte is their newest spine surgeon, and he and his colleagues are nationally recognized clinicians dedicated to enhancing quality of care for patients looking to restore and recover spinal function. Pain managing procedures are done at Ortho Wisconsin's Ambulatory Surgery Center in Pewaukee and at their Brookfield Clinic, and the more conservative treatments, like physical therapy, are offered at their new Berlin location as well. Find more info at orthowisconsin.com. In fact, if you have any shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain, check out orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Are you ready to score big this football season? Thielman Group is heating things up with a sweepstakes that'll have you cheering louder than a stadium crowd. The rivalry between Green Bay and Chicago is legendary, just like the services provided by the Thielman Group. Imagine this: 4 Green Bay versus Chicago tickets for the grand prize winner. Yes, you heard right. Gather your friends for the ultimate game day experience. But wait, there's more. Our runner-up doesn't go home empty-handed. How about 2 tickets to see Green Bay take on Chicago? And for our third place winner, ensure your home air quality is as perfect as a touchdown with the Patriot Indoor Air Quality System. Whether you're a die-hard football fan or a homeowner looking for comfort, Thielman Group has you covered. Gear up, enter now, and get ready to cheer on your team like never before. For more info, go online to thielmangroup.com. That's Thielman with 2 N's, group.com. Thielman Group, Southeast Wisconsin's premier HVAC provider, making your home comfortable and your game days unforgettable.
Small business owners, we know tackling your to-do list can sometimes feel like going 12 rounds against a heavyweight champ. Except that heavyweight's gloves are made of something hard, like diamonds. So when a new to-do pops up, you're like, I can't. I'm boxing my diamond boxing glove wearing heavyweight champ of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy with over 30 customizable coverage options, so you can finally land a knockout blow. See if you can save on business insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
In today's world, energy security means more than just keeping the lights on. It's about making America stronger by reducing our dependence on foreign oil. Ethanol helps fuel our nation's energy security. Made right here in America, ethanol keeps gas prices lower. It's renewable, reliable, and helps create American jobs. On Election Day, join us in choosing candidates who support ethanol and the renewable fuel standard. Paid for by the Renewable Fuels Association.
Hi, this is Bill with Kettle Moraine Heating and Air Conditioning. We'll have you warm and cozy faster than you can say,
Trick or treat!
If your old furnace is playing tricks on you this fall, don't be frightened. The team at Kettle Moraine Heating has a treat for you. This October, you can get a spooky good deal on a new Carrier furnace installed for less than $51 a month or 0% financing. And we offer same-day heat if your furnace gives out. Don't let your old system give you an eerie chill. Call or visit kettlemoraineheating.com today.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
I'm going through it tonight.
Steve Aoki's remix of Thriller in the Dan O'Donnell Show Halloween bumper music rotation. We are in the holiday spirit a little bit earlier than most, playing Halloween bumper music from now until the 31st. We didn't get to this in the 9 o'clock hour. We will right now, the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
Possibly.
America is in over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is Anne Applebaum. She is a writer for The Atlantic and has this incredible piece. Just frame this and hang it in the Louvre. Trump is speaking like Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini. It is rare that you get the trifecta of Trump comparisons. Usually they just stop at Hitler because they lack imagination, but Applebaum has hit a triple. The former president has brought dehumanizing language into American politics, saying he sounds like Hitler talking about the Jews in Mein Kampf, Stalin talking about pretty much everybody, and Mussolini basically saying, I am always right. Neither has this rhetoric been tried in modern American politics, she says. Several generations of American politicians have assumed that American voters, most of whom learned to pledge allegiance to the flag in school, grew up with the rule of law and have never experienced occupation or invasion, would be resistant to this type of language and imagery. Trump is gambling knowingly and cynically that we are not. Anne Applebaum, The Atlantic writer, your unhinged liberal of the day. Wisconsin's largest early vote drive is an incredible success. It is part of the WISN Early Vote Turnout Project. We are trying to get as many listeners as humanly possible to vote early. Hi, Dan. Just voted early in the town of Vernon with my wife. About 15 people in there when we got there and more walking in. We had to leave Muskego City Hall because there were no parking spaces. People are waiting in line for a spot. We'll go back this afternoon to vote. Folks, those are just a couple of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of texts that we have received since we officially kicked off Wisconsin's largest early vote drive at 9:06 this morning. It continues all day, every day through the end of early voting. Keep those texts, keep those emails coming, and thanks for listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show.